it, and all my work is going to be simplified. So breaking it down, you have tangent, which would be broken down into one, or no, not one. It will be sine over cosine times cosine plus cosine over sine times sine equals sine plus cosine. Now, since this is simplified, cotangent in here and everything else is pretty much simplified, the only thing that you can cross out is the cosine, the denominator cosine and cosine right here. Since they're multiplying together, you can cross those out. Then you would get sine plus, oh wait, I take that back. What you can do again is cross these two out since they multiply as well. So it would be sine plus cosine equals sine plus cosine. And then in simple terms, it can be 1 equals 1. And that is my answer for the first equation. Going on, secant theta would be 1 over cosine, and then multiply that by cosecant, which is 1 over sine. Oh, sine. Which equals tangent, which is sine over cosine plus cosine over sine right there. Now, with this simplified, what you can do is, since these multiply, you can do 1 over cosine times sine, put a little symbol there, equals sine squared, since you multiplied this by sine, would be sine squared over cosine times sine plus, and then since you multiplied this by cosine, you'd get cosine squared over, and we'll just keep it the same as this one, cosine times sine. And then now, since these two have the same base, cosine times sine, you can combine them. So we're going to redo this one, 1 over cosine times sine equals sine squared plus cosine squared over cosine times sine. Now, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta also happens to be 1. So it would be 1 over cosine times sine equals to 1 over cosine times sine. And this would be my answer right here. 1 over cosine times sine equals 1 over cosine times sine. For number 3, we have this equation right here. So of course you would do sine times cosine times sine over cosine. All right. Plus cosine squared equals 1. Now, since these two multiply, gonna move that out of the way. Since these two multiply, you're gonna cross those out. So then you have sine times sine plus cosine equals 1. These two multiply to give you sine squared, which drops down like this, plus cosine equals 1. And as you can tell from this question, or not this question where sine plus cosine equals 1, and also from this one where sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, this one also would mean 1 equals 1. And that is my answer for number 3, 1 equals 1. Going on to number 4, we have this wonderful equation right here. You would start off with sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1 over sine squared minus sine squared over cosine squared. And these are squared because tangent is squared and secant is squared. Now, with this, sine squared plus cosine squared, that equals 1. So you can just put a simple 1 there, equals, you will have to, with this one, number 4, oh wait, secant is 1 over cosine, sorry, I got that confused. Since these are both the same base, you would combine the tops and the bottoms, so it'd be 1 minus sine over cosine. Now looking at this, 1 over, since you still have 1, it'd be 1 equals, and then 1 minus sine squared equals cosine squared, so it'd be cosine squared over cosine squared, put that there, and then cosine squared over cosine squared would just be 1. So over here, it'd be 1 equals 1. And then that is my answer right there, 1 equals 1 again. Now for number 5 is the last one. You have this wonderful equation right here, and we're going to start off. You will have sine over cosine, gotta drag the line in between, sine over cosine plus cosine over sine, and I'm just going to put a bracket here, and since the equation's in the way, I'll just stick it right there, 2, equals, cosecant would be 1 over sine, but since it's all squared, it'd be 1 over sine squared, times, it would be 1 over cosine squared, 1 over cosine squared. Now, on the inside, you cannot really combine those quite yet. So what you have to do, multiply this by sine, this side by sine, and multiply this by cosine so you get the same basis. So it would be sine squared over cosine times sine plus cosine squared over cosine, cosine times sine, and I'll move these down a bit. And note, this whole equation is still squared right here, is yet to change from squared, equals, and since these are multiplying, you just multiply. So it'd be 1 over sine squared times cosine squared. Okay. Then you will combine both of these. So it'd be sine squared plus cosine squared over, I'm going to move that out of the way too real quick, cosine times sine, all in a thing, squared equals 1 over sine squared times cosine squared. Now, since this will equal 1 right here, so without taking up much space, or no, never mind. This will equal 1, so I'm going to put that there. So then it'll be 1 over sine times cosine squared equals 1 over sine squared times cosine squared. Now we're going to move it up, and this should be our final answer times cosine squared. And that is my answer for number 5, and this is my project. Thank you.